You had 1,152 rounds of chemo?
Yeah.
Like, how do you wrap your head around that?
Just kind of take it as medicine. It's like taking Tylenol, just say another one, okay. It's pretty much all you can do. You can't really argue it because they'll give it to you anyway.
When you first heard that you had leukemia, take me through that day.
Well,
You remember
it was in MDU in Chio, and we were in the room with the guy from a dermatologist, I believe. Don't know what the proper term.
That's fine.
An oncologist and a nurse. And so we were talking and going over the results of the biopsy because I had facial paralysis and my face would droop and I couldn't move my left side. I had big bumps on my head that looked like infected bug bites, but turns out they're actually pure cancer. And the reason why my face was drooped was because the tube that the nerve travels through was blocked with cancer. Found that out later, so they told me, they were giving the results, they told me to leave the room, and then I went back. My parents were crying, and they didn't really tell me till the next day when I was in hospital. They were doing all kinds of tests and put chemo, and then they finally told me, you had cancer.
Now, did you know at that time that you could beat it? Were you thinking that far ahead?
Well, I was just thinking in the now, because I didn't really know what it was, because I was only 9.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what might happen. All I knew was just took it each day at a time and lived the fullest.
That's great advice. Now, I see that you had 10 sessions of radiation. Now, I went through a lot of radiation as well. Describe what radiation is like for people that don't know.
Well, what they did for me is that they made a mask because I had cranial radiation, and they put X's on the mask on where they want the radiation laser to shoot. And then they bolted me to the table through the mask.
And that's a weird feeling, because I remember going through it. I'm like, you're bolting me to a table? What do you mean you're bolting me to a table?
It felt a little weird, and then I kind of got used to it. And then while you're laying there and you hear a little buzz, you kind of get like a little metallic taste in your mouth. Yeah. It tasted weird.
Then you walk out and you feel like Robocop.
Yeah. It just felt weird, and then you would come out and your face was like honeycombed because of the imprint of the mask.
Now, have you ever used that mask for Halloween?
Not yet.
I'm going to use mine for Halloween this year. Trick or treat.
Who's underneath the mask?
Now, take me to where you are now. How's your health?
Right now, I'm done treatment. I'm going every 4 weeks until November, which would be 1 year off treatment, and then I go to every 8 weeks. And then each November, I move it back for months.
So you understand the importance of 24-hour Tremblant.
Yes.
And how much fun it is and why people do what they do.
Yes.
So if you can say something to somebody who's never supported or maybe heard of the event or been to the event, what would you say to them to make them want to donate?
It's a fun event, ski, walk, or run. It's lots of fun. It's pretty much a big party, and you're doing it with a team for 24 hours or as long as you can.
And helping kids like you.
Yes.
But not only helping kids like you, tell me about your camp experience with the Sens Foundation.
Well, the camp that Sens are helping this year, one of them is Camp Quality, which is Cancer Kids Camp. And it's a fun camp because you meet other cancer kids who are either
going through what you're
going through it, or they're like 5 years done, and they're just kind of there to help you out. So if you're not feeling well because of chemo, you have all kinds of friends there helping you.
Yeah, who have all been through the same thing and can all share war stories.
Yeah, or your companion can help too. I remember one year, one kid didn't want to eat his supper, so I told him, I'll give you my dessert if you eat your supper. So he said, okay, so he kind of half-heartedly did it, not believing me, and then dessert time, I brought him my dessert, and he was all surprised and happy.
Tell me the coolest thing about this camp. Like the one greatest memory that you look back on and go, I'm so glad I went to this camp because we did this. What was it?
My favorite part of camp is the swimming, because you always get to push the counselors off the dock or the lifeguards. Even though they might not like it, we kind of do it anyway. And then we get in trouble, or counselors get in trouble, but
I want to ask you, you're very young, but you're wise beyond your years. What would you say to parents watching this or to kids watching this who have just been diagnosed? What piece of advice would you give them?
there's always hope. Never stop believing that there's no hope for you. And if people offer you free stuff, take it. You'll need it down the road.
You've met a lot of famous people as well. What's one of the highlights? I know you've met some senators.
I remember while I was in hospital one year, the Ottawa Senators came, and I got to meet Chris Neal and Bobby Ryan, and it was the day after Cody Ceci made his first game debut, and he was all nervous because it was his first time, and he's not really used to it, and he had fun.
I just want to correct you on one of those players. It's not Bobby Ryan, it's Bobby Ryan.
Hi.
That's the way I pronounce it. You are an example. You're an amazing kid,
Thank you.
and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
And this is why we support 20 Brown Tremblant.